We'll try it one more time. Real men, real women,
Let's talk about it.
So before we go in today, I just want us to say a word of prayer before we proceed. Father, we just want to thank you for an awesome time already. We thank you for even how you've taken us through today and brought us to this moment. Thank you for an awesome time already. We thank you because you are a great God. We give you every honor and every adoration because every time we get to interact with one another is just splendid time. And Father Lord, you encourage us to sharpen one another because I sharpen it. And Father Lord, King of Glory, even in the discussions of today, Lord, may we be able to learn, may we be able to take something that's going to make our lives better in Jesus' name. Father, for everyone that you're going to be going to use tonight, oh God, we ask, oh God, that you give them the right thing to say, oh God, that Lord, it's not just going to be a discussion, but also a ministration in the mighty name of Jesus. We thank you, Father, Lord, because we know you have done it already. Receive every praise, every adoration. In Jesus Christ's name we have prayed. Amen. I have to make that prayer short because we have an awesome panel and we are ready to jump in. But before we do that, hey, Sister Mimi, it's been a while.
It's been forever. It's nice seeing you.
Nice seeing you too, man. This whole COVID stuff is like, when is it going to end, right?
Well, now we have a circle of plus. We can definitely.
Right. How are you finding working from home?
I'm ready to go back to work.
I know.
As much as I love working from home, but I'm ready to go back.
Initially it was like, oh, in PJs. And after a while, it's like 60-hour days. Okay, I think I'm ready to go back to work.
I am ready to go back to work.
Right.
At least, work from home 2 times a day. I mean, 2 times a week. And then I guess
that's like your limit, right? Your threshold right now.
I'm ready. Too much home.
Right. So before we jump in, I just wonder, for the benefit of those that are, that don't know who we are, you're not part of Mercy Seat Chapel, just want to quickly introduce ourselves. My name is Adora Nwokoye. I'm a gospel recording artist as well as a professional. Also a military woman, just a lot of things going on. How about you, Sister Mimi?
Well, my name is Miminga, and I am a teacher here. I mean, kids teacher, Sunday school here at Mercy Seat Chapel. But professionally, I'm a cybersecurity expert, and I also am an event specialist.
So. Okay, so it's like women doing multiple things. Like we're very good
professional
at
entrepreneurship,
right.
Church, everything.
Right. Yeah. So let's get to know this awesome panel. I mean, you don't want to miss this discussion. So I would love for our panelists to introduce themselves. I think the best person to toot your own horn, to toot a horn, is your own self, right? So I'm going to have our panelists introduce themselves, and we're just going to go in this order. Mr. Alex, and then Dr. Tenny, Mr. Pedro, and then Pastor Ola. Please take it away, Mr. Alex.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dora and Sister Mimi. Thank you for inviting us tonight to be part of the Real Men, Real Women talk. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Ayenkoya, and then I'm from Vomos Communications. Most of you know Vomos. We've been around for a while. It's an international calling service company. We build a telecom outfit here in the States, and I live in Maryland. I have my family. I have 3 children and my wife, my beautiful wife. We live in Maryland. And professionally, what I do is to grow business. I started a couple of businesses in the past, which I will share a lot of them tonight. I will be very organic talking tonight so that we can really pick a lot of things from what I'm going to say. And then most of the conversation tonight will be real talk, real experience of what I've done in the last 19 years in the industry. I'm very excited to be here tonight, and thank you for having me.
So I really like when men always say my beautiful wife. That tells me their wife is really beautiful, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Tenny, please tell us about yourself.
Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. It's definitely an honor. It's my pleasure to be here, and I hope I could be as helpful as possible. I'm a dentist. I live in Maryland with my husband and my 2 wonderful little boys. They're 2 and 5. To speak a little bit about myself, I opened up my practice about 7 years ago, and it's been doing great. So I'm hopeful that I will be able to give any kind of pointers or any kind of information that anybody would need on that. And I just hope I can, give good information today.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Can we please have Mr. Pedro introduce himself as well?
Oh, my name is Taiwo Pedro, and good evening, Sister Mimi and Sister Adora. Good evening, Pastor.
Good evening, Mr. Pedro. How are you, sir?
Very well. My name is Taiwo Pedro. I'm the president of Tai Pedro and Associates. Well, don't let me say president. I am number 001 employee of Tai Pedro and Associates. The company started in 1991 as a CPA firm because of the growing needs of our clients. We now provide management consulting, information technology, and financial management services to various federal government agencies. Most of our revenues are derived from providing services to federal governments in Washington metropolitan area and all over the states of United States. So we've been around for almost 30 years doing wonderful things for the community. And before I start, I think I have a suggestion, please, if you don't mind. I think we need to change the name from Real Men, Real Women to Real Women, Real Men. That's just my suggestion for your consideration.
Take your suggestion under consideration.
So that's who I am, and I'm very happy to be part of this discussion. And hopefully this night will benefit so many people. Is there any way we would know how many people are watching, interested in learning new stuff?
So yes, this is being streamed on YouTube as well as Facebook. So we definitely will be having a lot of people engaged in discussions, and at some point we'll be taking questions from the audience, and so we'll honor those questions to the panel, and we have a system going on here. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much for introducing yourself. And the other person, the last but not the least, needs no introduction, but today we want you, Pastor, to introduce yourself, not as our pastor now.
As Mr. Businessman.
As the business pastor.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sister Didi. I'm Sister Mimi, a security expert, a security personnel on your own right. Sister Adora, a songwriter and a military person. I want to appreciate both of you for what you do continuously on this forum. And I'd like to appreciate all the panelists, Brother Alex, Sister Tenny, and Mr. Pedro. And of course, all the real men out there, all the real women out there, the real people out there, I appreciate you. My name is Ola Olarinde. I am a pastor. I'm a business person. I am presently into, I buy properties, I fix and I sell, and I'm into hostel accommodation in Africa. There's a huge need of hostel accommodation in Africa, and I'm providing that for as many universities in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That's what I do right now.
That is good to know. If you are needing property or anything, you already know where to go.
Okay. So again, thank you everybody for joining us online. Thank you to our panelists. So we're going to go ahead in our first question of the night. And this question is actually for all our panelists. So, the question, your answers under 2 to 3 minutes. So we're anchoring this question in Genesis 13, verse 2, which says, Abraham had become very wealthy in livestock and in silver and gold. So the question here is, can you tell us why you have been successful in your business journey? And when we talk about business, we're extending it to professional, your entrepreneurship. Why have you been successful? In any order, really.
Well, I'll go first.
Okay.
When I started my business in 1991, I thought I could do it all by myself. So we were awarded a project in Denver, and we went to Denver, Colorado, Denver, with a team of maybe 5 consultants, and it was during the era of Y2K. I know some of you remember when the transition was taking place from 1999 to 2000. So there was this big need for consulting services. So we were so eager, so we did more than the scope. So in essence, we lost a lot of money. We were just too ambitious for the program. So I was so angry. I went home. I remember it was a Friday night, and I went home. I went with my friends somewhere. We had a couple of beer, drink. I drank. I was angry. I got home. I was very angry. And my wife just came to me and said, "Look, Taye, you've been trying this all by yourself. Why don't you try God?" I looked at her. Here I was very angry, and she said that to me calmly. And the following Sunday, I started going to church. And from that point on, God has been wonderful. That is one of my sources of success in this industry. And it's still continuing. God is the answer. God has brought me this far, and God is still continuing with me. That's my success in a nutshell.
Awesome. That's an awesome testimony. We really like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go next. Okay. So success is relative for me, and then we give God all the glory. God first, like Mr. Pedro said. Everything we do start from God, and once you understand that, you understand how He will place stuff for you. And the reason why I said that is that when God wants to give you a solution, wants you to solve a problem, or wants you to give you a chair, God will not give you that chair. He will just give you a log of tree. And it's for you to figure out how to turn it to your chair. If God's going to give you a car now, or you want to be rich, God will not print cash for you, but will give you solutions, will give you wisdom and knowledge that you can build together to make an impact. And that will make you successful. Success is a journey for me. And when I started, one thing I found out is that it's a continuous way for me. I've not really gotten to where I would say I'm very successful in my life. I believe that I've just started, and it's been a while. So what makes me to be happy, or that relative to say I'm a little successful, is if I solve people's problem, and then I get reward from that. That's my own success story. So ever since it started Vomos, before Vomos, there's been companies. I've started a lot of things, and most of people get to know one brand. They never knew how the journey got started, and it started from just looking for issues people are going through, looking for a problem. I'm a guy that I see a lot of opportunities when people are saying something is an obstacle. And when people say something is an obstacle, that's what attracts me. I don't go more about something that is fixed. I look for problem so that I can provide solutions. And I found along my journey that when you solve problem, you get values, and those values will make money for you. So all my life, I've been looking for problems, issues people are going through, what people say is not working. It's what I go for. I remember my journey. I started as a phone guy. People know me as a phone guy. During the era of installing telephone system for the mortgage people back in 2000, and that was some of the time I got to know Pastor Larry. It's almost 20 years now. So the journey was just installing phone system for for small business owners. And that time was a lot of real estate coming up. I mean, my business is a lot around diaspora because I understand that market a little bit, and I'm going to explain it tonight. So when I was installing telephone system for mortgage company, normally when you get a Verizon, when you get a phone number from Verizon for your business, they will install it and then they put it outside. So they call it DMAC. Then you need a telephone guy to come into your company or get Verizon to bring it into your building and install it to your extensions or create extensions for your staff. So at that time, something called PBX was so popular. It's like a little telephone gear you put on the wall, and then they plug the Verizon number to it, the landline, and then you have different extensions that goes around. So that was my journey, and I was installing it. I learned it by myself because I figured out what can I do to make people happy. So I started learning that telephone system from one just little box I had, and then I was installing it in Maryland. I did well in Maryland, Virginia, and DC. And along the way, there was a particular role in Laurel that has so many Nigerians, Africans, Ghanaians, Ethiopians, real estate agents, and brokers, and mortgage, and sort of. And so when I get there, they will call me, Alex, come and install this for us. I will go there with my ladder. You know, Verizon was charging $126 an hour to do in-house. I was charging $60 per hour to install those phone systems. So a lot of people started referring me. And then when I got there, most of them, when they want to, you know, most of them, when they want to call, they use that system to call directly to Ghana, to Nigeria, to South Africa. One day I was at work, and one of the guys said, I don't know why they are bringing me almost $700 bills, $600 bills, making calls. And this is so ridiculous. Most of us then, you know, calling card was a hell, you know. To get a calling card, it was so difficult. You get a calling card for $10. You're going to speak for only 10 minutes or 20 minutes, and then it's going to cut off. So I started asking them that, so what's going on? They said, I have to call directly. I have to talk to my family back home. And I said, why don't you use calling card? He said, most calling cards are not working. They take all our money. They are rip off when you scratch it, and then you have to enter the PIN every time. So I started like, okay, so I can add calling card to my business because I'm installing telephone. The user, they're having problems to make international calls. So they need someone to fix that. So I started looking for calling card business. I went around, I looked for different people. I went to stores, gas stations. They met a lot of Pakistan. They said, oh, I have to be a reseller and stuff. So I started reselling calling card. I'll bring it them there. I said, this calling card works very well. You know, and then some of them were like, okay. And then they called me back and said, this calling card, sometimes the minutes is gone. So there was a day I was looking for a calling card. I met the supplier of the calling card. And the guy said, I asked the guy, I want to make my own calling card. The guy laughed. He's not, I know, let me just leave it there. He said, oh, I can only resell. And I said, please, do you know anybody that can allow me to brand a calling card? He said, I have a friend that can help you to sell a calling card. And, you know, so far, I just want to tell you my journey. So it was while I'm solving problem, I found a solution. I found someone to take me to someone that will help me to get to something. And then I believe that was God's trade. Let me digress a little bit. Mr. Pedro may have forgotten this when I met him for the first time. That was 2006. I was in his office to install telephone system. So when I was in Mr. Pedro's office, and I went there with Mr. Eniola, that was my boss. And then, you know, we got to Silver Spring. So, you know, I've been installing telephone for small businesses, and I saw this high-rise building. And we went to the high-rise building, and we got to the 7th floor, and I saw Ty Pedro and Associate. It's a whole long floor in Silver Spring. You guys know that I was like, who owns this place? They say it's Mr. Pedro. And we went inside. That was the first time I met him. I've never said this story before. It was hearing this story for the first time. And I look around. I saw Sister Joke sitting down, and they were trying to do a phone system. And one thing that struck me there is that I prayed that day on that land that a successful man like this is a Nigerian, is an African. He came to this country to conquer. Then I have to do well with my calling card. So it's part of the things that is charged me enough. And then when I was in business, a lot of people were telling me that this calling card, is it all you do? I said, yes. And then I kept doing it. Now, here's the story part of it. It takes time to figure out. But if I have not started, I wouldn't have found all this storyline. Pastor Larinde too, I met him on the journey. We started talking. Pastor Larinde was one of the people that first invested in me to give me money to run calling card business for years. So this is a story that, you know, you have started going. And over the years, we built it to over millions of dollars company, whereby we have over 50 employees. We have about 400 partners all over the states selling our products.
That is really, truly, truly amazing. And I think the one thing that I really love that you said is finding a problem and solving it, because sometimes we don't understand how to make money. You know, it's like you have this mindset of, you know, I need to go to work, I need to do my 9 to 5, I need to come back. But the difference is between someone that just has a regular job and someone that makes extra income is when you're able to identify a problem and you solve it. I can see, like, I'm so, you know, poised to hear even more about what you will share with us in the future. In terms of, like, you know, I have like some other questions that would hopefully speak more to your story as we keep going on. I just wanted to get like the take of Dr. Tenny, her own story, and then we can move on. I don't want to I don't mean to cut you off, but I just
No, that's fine. That's fine. I've told you it's going to go longer and longer, Sister Dara. That's good.
actually appreciate that. That's what we
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
And real women. So no, bring it on. We're excited. We're excited. But I just wanted us to get the round, and then we'll have other questions that probably will speak to some of the things you were going to talk about too. So thank you very much. Dr. Tenny, a little bit about your success story.
Okay, so I think the main thing is having a heart for service. Of course, the favor of God, because every single point of my life that has brought me to where I was when I was able to open up my own practice, I actually did that at 29 without having, I didn't have any family that had done that in the States. I didn't have any mentors. I didn't have any doctors or dentists that I was able to talk to about this. So of course, God's favor, absolutely, but also having a heart for service and truly having a passion and loving what I do. Because being in the medical profession as a dentist, when someone comes to you and they're in pain, or they don't like their smile, or there is something that they are not happy with, they will know immediately if you love what you do or not. They would know if it's all about the money or if it's about taking care of them, which is what I mean by heart for service. And I think this will go to any profession or any kind of business that you're trying to make. If you have that heart for service, that joy, you will want to help somebody out. And people will want to come to you. And just word of mouth, which is actually how my practice became as big as it is. Word of mouth is like, there's this person over there that's great, or there's this person over there that gives great service. And then you have more people coming to you. You will find that you are becoming more competent at what you're doing, because in the very beginning, we're all learning. We all will make mistakes. Being or becoming a master in your craft is another thing of why I believe I am successful. If I compare myself to when I was done with dental school, I am nowhere where I was. But with each case, with each work that I do, I'm becoming better and better and better. And again, just loving to serve people allows people to come to you, and you make their lives better. You get a sense of having accomplished a lot. You get a sense of contentment, and you are happy. So that to me will be why I believe I'm successful. And I think it would only keep growing from there. And that would be my definition of success.
Awesome, awesome. I heard, I actually have a friend that was telling me the kind of the same testimony, having a heart for service, you know, and that has grown her business. You know, she's with children, and she went from, you know, not even knowing what she was doing to having a big daycare. So that is an awesome testimony. So I really like that. So not last, not least, but you know, Pastor Orai, if you can tell us what makes you happy.
Thank you very much for this wonderful question. And I would not like to repeat what Brother Kunle, Sister Tenny, and Mr. Pedro has said earlier on. A successful life is a life of solution. You identify a problem and you try to solve the problem, like Brother Kunle said. That is what success is for me. So every day I passionately look out for individuals, problems to solve, using the goodwill that God has given unto me to solve a problem. That is what impact is for me. Thankfully, like Brother Kunle said, Sister Tenny, when she opened her place at 29, I was there. I was going to pray there. I was excited about it. Mr. Pedro, what God is doing in his life. So it's about solving a problem. And when you solve a problem, success now becomes a life of impact. Because you are solving people's problem, you are impacting people. And for me, that is what success is all about.
That's amazing. So just to do a quick recap, Sister we heard about the God factor, heard about solving problems, and also being a master at what you do. So if you're a master and the heart of service, so you have the heart of service, of course, you have to be passionate about what you do, but you actually need to know what you're doing, right? To make sure you're offering your customers the best service. I think this is really, really, really great. I feel like in answering the first question, they kind of answered the second question and kind of like listing out
but we still want to ask that question.
Right. A group of steps, I would say, of what success really means. But I'm just going to direct this question to Mr. Pedro just because of time. And the anchor for this question is Psalm 24, verse 1, where the Bible says the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And the question here is like, what are your definitions of the level of business successes, right? And we just want to kind of, looking at Jeff Bezos, you did say, like, I'm looking at this guy, I'm looking at the stock market, and I'm like, how rich can you be? You know, so it's like, at what point is like, okay, this is just it. I'm done. Is it that even the richer you are, then there's even like still more heights or more heights to conquer? Like, what would you say to that?
There is no limit to success. Success should be indefinite. And talking about Amazon, have you ever wondered why born again Christians are not at that level yet?
I mean, you can speak to that. You can speak to that.
That's all the type of stuff to look at.
Yeah.
What I found out was that if you look at John 14:26, Bezos, Amazon came from an idea. Somebody thinking like what Mr. Alex said, that there's a problem and there's a solution. So Amazon found a solution to a problem. And if you look at Uber was a solution to a problem. And why are we not at that level yet? Why we Africans or born again Christians, why are we not at that level yet? I mean, it bothers me every day. This is a question I ask myself all the time. What do we need to do to get to that point? Is God not talking to us? Because the Bible says that God has the power to give wealth, right? Is he not talking to us about ideas? And if you look at Isaiah 45, verse 3, how God revealed to Cyprus. Cyprus wasn't a born-again Christian, was a pagan. God just brought him, favored him, and called him, and said to him that I will reveal the treasure of the darkness. You imagine that test. I will reveal the treasure of the darkness. That means darkness and light don't mix, right? And God now coming back and saying that darkness, so there is richness there. There is a treasure there. And God is telling us, He's revealing all these things to us, but we're not listening. We need to start listening. That's why I said from the beginning, there's no limit to success. I think we need to be more creative. We need, like Alex says, we need to find solutions, everlasting solutions to problems. And it doesn't stop that, because problems will ever continue as long as humanity exists. So this is what we need to start doing. We need to be more creative. We need to be more adventurous. We need to speak more. We need to think deeper than what we're doing right now. I mean, me included too. I think I should have been in that position with Bezos. I should have been richer than him. I'm supposed to, because I'm smarter than him, or maybe as smart as him. The only thing is maybe I've not thought as well as he's done in the past. So I need to do more. We need to do more of that.
So, speaking somebody like Bezos or the Uber example, are you saying, you did say you talked about creativity, you talked about, doing better and so on. So the question now is, to get to that next level of success, and we're not just talking about money, right? I mean, even though I guess money is one of those measurements, it's important, but that next level of success, right? When, let's just say, like somebody like Jeff Bezos, what is he sitting and saying, okay, what do I do next? How do I get richer? Or like, what do I do to get better? Like, so in your opinion, are they like different levels of success where you just don't like stop and you don't sit, or at some point, are you satisfied?
No, you can never be satisfied. You can't be complacent because you arrive at a level now. It doesn't mean that you have to be complacent. You have to continue to thrive because the world is changing. Humanity is changing. The demand for new things are changing every day. And if you just stay there, you'll be surprised. Somebody will come next, maybe 2 years time, will surpass Bezos, will come up with new ideas. Remember that time of Kodak, where you go to, you buy a film, a camera, you take pictures and you take it to Kodak, you print them. Now you don't need that anymore. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yes, and things are changing. And tomorrow we come, what Bezos is doing may be old-fashioned, another new idea may come and that will benefit humanity. That is the most important thing. We need to continue to think. We need to continue to evolve.
So you need to evolve because, that will help you keep that level of success and from generation to generation.
That's correct.
Right. And I think
the Bible says that the reason why you need to continue to evolve is this. The Bible says that a good man leaves inheritance for his children's children. One day, 2 weeks ago, I went with my wife to Mercedes-Benz, and I just looked up. I looked at that name. Mercedes-Benz. It has been there forever since I was a little. And that is still continuing. And it's still going to continue for a long period of time. That's why we cannot sit back and say, okay, I've attained a level, so I need to stop. No, we need to continue because the Mercedes-Benz of 1999 is not the same Mercedes-Benz of 2020.
Right.
So that's why we need to continue.
So piggyback on one of the statements you had made, you said, why is it that Africans, born-again Christians, are kind of at the place where they are? So Mr. Alex, I wanted you to speak to this because I thought it was very, very interesting, how you were able to it's like you saw a problem and you just jumped right in, but you were able to connect what you were doing with the resource or the resource that you had, and how those resources could help satisfy some other issues your customers were complaining about. And I just was thinking about it, as an African guy, like what just gave you that impetus? Like what made you like as they say, back home, your mind kakaraka. Like, how did you, like, what just made you say, I'm stepping out, as an African? Because well, I'm asking this question is a lot of the audience that's listening to us today, we are, diasporians, but we know we are originally from Africa. And maybe some of the reasons why we are not able to step out and just go, and just kind of settle for the 9 to 5 is fear or just like, but what was that gave you that heart to say, you know what, I'm taking this step, I'm expanding, I'm doing all of that? Please tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Dara. So I'll say this first about success. Also, continue with success. You see, so when you say you're successful, so success is not measured by what you have done. It's about what you have left that you haven't done. That's when you can measure your success. So if you still have something to give, you are not successful yet. So like Mr. Pedro said, like people like Amazon, like Facebook, like Google, they don't see themselves that they are successful yet. They have a lot to give. So every single day, they always see that they have more to give. But most of us, some of us, I won't say Africans, most people is general, we get to settle based on a particular success or successful story we have. And that is a shock. It's just going to shut us down. And that's why a lot of us, we don't grow or have the mindset of Mr. Pedro is saying. God said, whatever we put our feet, it's our own. He didn't say, oh, you are this and that. But most of us, we just like to tiptoe. We don't want to put our feet down. And then another thing is this. When I jump into, like I said, some of us, we have this we have this fantasy of what we're looking for in life. You have this magnitude of people around you, all Africans, they are like you talk like them, they hear you even if you don't even know how to talk very well. There are thousands and thousands of them. You are overlooking those people and you are looking for something else that is not available. Mr. Petros just shared that he's been in this industry for years, 30 years. It's been a long journey for him. But most of us, we can't even do 3 years before we give up or before we snap. So as he's going after government, I'm going after diaspora. It's just the market. He has his own focus that my market is government, which is trillions of dollars. And at the same time, I'm going after diaspora, which is billions of dollars. People don't know that even Redeemed Christian Church of God alone, our spending power is over $13 billion.
Wow.
People don't know. Redeemed members alone. I'm not even talking about Nigerians. I'm not talking about Congolese. I'm not talking about Cameroonians. Just Redeemed members alone. Redeemed has over 935 branches in America alone. If you don't know your numbers, you can't reach where you're going. That's 935 is like 935 McDonald's stores, 935 franchise, 935 locations where you can sell your product. Just saying, I'm from Pastor Larry. They won't ask you twice because it's the same brand. And when you go there, you don't need to change your face or your mouth. The way you are selling at Mercy City Chapel is the same way you will sell at another parish. And God helps you. Once you grow from there, then you can take it to other locations. People don't buy your product, they buy you. They buy your passion. They'll see you through you. You wait, people say, okay, why are you so into this? Because it takes time to build a brand. It takes time to be successful. Most of the people are talking about Jeff Bezos today. Sometimes you could start on a good note, but sometimes you could take time. He has started in 1993, 1994. He left his 9 to 5. He moved back to his base in Washington. He started with, taking the risk of his parents, starting to sell books. And then that's how he grew. So, but he didn't get breakthrough. He nearly lost all the money the parents invested until later, 2000 and end of 2010, 2013, when it's now coming. But the story behind it, we don't sell it. We don't know that. We only see the glory. So let me put it to wrap it up. If you have something that it's always feel like doing. You have to start doing it. That's where you talk your story. Somebody told me this thing. When you do what you like, even if you're working in a place and you love doing it, and even you spend 10 hours or 30 hours on it, you will never feel you have worked because you are doing what you like. Most of us, we're spending too much time doing what we don't like, and we're expecting a greater value from that. So success in that level in Africa, if you want to do anything and you are looking at, okay, I want to try my idea, I want to do stuff, there's a platform God has given to you. It's called Africans. Start from there. Start showing the idea, start growing little by little. Be strong locally before you start going for a global vision. So have a strong local base, and then you can now scale out. You can't sell anything to Mexicans when you cannot even sell it to Africans. Thank you.
Okay. I have a follow-up question real quick, if you can answer in a minute or two. Sister Adora and I were talking earlier, and we were saying how it's hard to, I guess, market your idea. How do you get people? And you did say, like you sell yourself, right? But how do you actually do that? Like she's a recording artist. How does she get people to actually listen to her song and like it? Like, can we be a little like practical? Like, how do we actually really do that? Because sometimes it's like, come to me, I'm an event specialist, I can do a better job, but then it goes to somewhere else. So, then you wonder, okay, how do I really get that client?
I think you said, I think you gave an example and said just redeem alone the purchasing power of the members. But how do you, get past your parish? How do you step into other, they're like a forum thing that you need to be part of, and then you can advertise? Just tell us a little bit about marketing strategies.
Okay. So like I said, let me do this. So you want to, like I said, most of the things that you're trying to do, you have to first provide them for free to try the market. You have to build your, once you're passionate about it. Let me use an example. Before you start let's say you're a painter, you want to be painting, and then you love painting a lot, but eventually what you want to become is to produce paint. I won't tell you to go and open a store or go and forget a factory and start paint and produce paint. Get some, maybe your house, a couple of houses, try to paint it. Start learning. Learn whether people want to buy the white or the color, whether the oil-based or the water-based. Some of us, we say, oh, I love this. I just order them. And that's why a lot of people find it difficult. Whenever you want to start any business, you have to start small. There's nothing you cannot start. And here is let me tell you a joker. What you started may not be what you will end selling. You have to understand that. No emotion. You want to start a business. You can say, I want to be an event planner. And all you want to do is to plan events. And then you start, and then you tell people are looking at you because you've never done it. They've never seen you doing it. Some of us, as soon as people say, are you really sure you can be successful in what you're doing? Why don't you go and do this? You know what we do? We sink in and we give up. But what God is taking you to is not even event planning, is to have centers where people will plan events. But because you can't even handle how to plan an event, how would you build centers? How would you know what you need to do everywhere? So that's what made a lot of people to give up. People don't like, there's something called valley of depression or valley of frustration, valley of frustration in every business. It's a valley. You're going to go through it. There's not, everybody will go through it. But different business, as the length you spend in that valley, they're all different. They are relative to the business we are doing. So most of us, we collapse in the valley because we just believe that people say it's not going to work and they will drop the idea. We're on a Zoom platform. Zoom was not the first platform to build. There were tons of them, but they kept building it. They kept building where there's Skype. Why would I use Zoom when there's Skype? When there is Google, what's it called, Microsoft Team, when there's different one, there's GoToMeeting. They've already been around for years, but it has a niche, and it focuses on that niche, and it built out of it. Wow. I will use my own example, practically, there's no more time, but most of the things that I want to share is to use my own example. When I started calling card, I've built 7 different companies out of my calling card company. And that's another topic on another one. Because when I'm selling calling card to you, I'll find something else you need. Let me give an example. Like I said, my own market is diaspora. I called myself the 7th pillar of diaspora. And I will share it with you. It's another training one day. When you say you're a diaspora, because it's a market that is invisible to everybody. People don't see it. It's there. It's there. And the funnest part is that you don't need a lot of advertisement. Once you provide a service, make it very small and make sure you have a good customer service and be consistent. Then they will blow you up. It takes time. You have to understand 3 things: passion, time, and then, of course, God first. You have to be passionate about it. And once you know that you're going to do it, focus on it. People will tell you that they don't understand what you're saying. It's okay to be different, because that may not even be the main journey. It's just a setup for you to start.
Wow,
Wow.
thank you so much. That's just amazing.
Wow. Thank you so much for that answer. Dr. Tenney, this question goes to you. How have you anticipated obstacles or risk in your business, in your practice? And what did you do to overcome, I guess, these obstacles, these risks?
Okay. When I was done with my residency, I actually worked for a few dentists. So when I worked for these dentists, I would see how they ran their practices. I worked very hard. There was a time I was actually, I think most dentists work 3 or 4 days a week, and I was working about 6 days a week. And at one point, I was even working at 3 different offices, and they saw different kinds of patients. Fee for service, meaning people who just pay out of pocket. Some saw Medicaid insurances, which is on the lower tier, and then some saw your regular insurances, which would, pay a slightly higher fee. That said, when I was at each practice, I took from it the good, the bad, things that I thought I could do better, things that I thought that I had no idea how to do. And then eventually, after about 1.5 years, I started to sort of look for how can I own my own. So I'm sorry, I think what was your question? I just want to make sure I answer it.
Okay. So the question was, how did you anticipate obstacles or risks?
Obstacles, yes. So by doing that, pretty much, because I started from working as an associate, and I saw some of the obstacles in certain practices. When I looked to build my own, I actually had a business plan. I wrote all those things down. How would I advertise? How would I get patients? How would I get my equipment, etc. And I made different scenarios as to, if this goes wrong, how can I take care of it? Now, in all truthfulness, there's some things that you would never be able to prepare for. So when that happens, you deal with it as it comes. And it's not the end all be all, and it will be okay. And really, that's what happened. So that's how I was able to deal with it, any obstacles that came my way. And I can actually give examples.
Sure.
When I opened up my office, it's actually inside of a hospital. And at the time, I thought that we would be able to advertise in the hospital. But as it turns out, because it's a privately owned business, we were not able to do that. So of course that's head scratching, because we were supposed to be opening in 2-3 weeks, and one of the main sources of my referrals just said no. So what we did is we started looking for other avenues to bring in patients. We went online. We did Google ads. There was another platform for doctors called ZocDoc. We did that. We would literally talk to people who worked at the hospital and let them know we were opening, to bring their family, to bring their friends. And by month 2, it was great. Month 1, of course, there were little bumps and things right there. But by month 2, it was great. And that's how we were able to solve it, by understanding that the plan that we made might not always work, but always knowing that there's another way and never giving up.
So you always had like, or thinking about solutions, even though they're, like you said, they're not all problems can be anticipated, but for most part, you already like are thinking through your, I guess, possible issues and how to solve them.
Right. And I think also you have to be very prepared, because it's one thing to have a dream that you want to do something, but it's another thing not to do the research that you need to do. It's another thing not to have actually worked in whatever business that you want to do. You have to have worked in it. You have to have experienced what it is that you're going to be providing. You have to understand how you will receive your payment. You have to understand what the cost of doing business is. Because if you don't understand those little things, you could be excited, you could have the passion, but the nitty-gritty of its functions you need to know. So if you're very prepared and you started from the bottom up, nothing is too small for you. And when I say that, I mean, there were times that I worked without, in some of the office I worked in, they didn't have adequate staff. But I never complained about that because I found myself multitasking. Nothing was too small for me, the doctor, to do. I found myself doing that. So when I owned my own, it wasn't foreign to me. And if somebody called out, it wasn't the end of the day. Okay, the show still goes on. So you really have to be prepared. So when those obstacles do come in, you can handle them.
I had a follow-on question to that. In terms of, I know there was a time the Obama administration heavily for funding women businesses. I don't know if it was around when you opened your stuff. Were you able to take advantage of those kind of funding streams through the SBA? And if you did, and share with us any insights for women that might be listening um, that are wanting to start their own businesses as well.
Okay. So I did hear of that, but that's not what I used. Um, a lot of banks, again, because this is a medical community, they understand that the medical profession, if ran well, is very successful. So they actually have programs that are designated for doctors and dentists. So I would say anyone that is in that field could probably go to their bank with their business plan and be able to get funding for that. I wouldn't be the best person to talk to about SBA loans because I didn't go that route, but I do know that that definitely exists. But I think for that, they would need a solid business plan. They would probably need to speak with an accountant because the accountant will have to put down, on paper, the cost of doing business, how you expect revenue to come in, when you expect to break even, when you expect to get a profit, how are you going to be able to run day to day? There are lots of examples of those sort of business plans online. And it's actually very eye-opening because when you're writing it out, when you're writing that proposal, that outline that you would give to that banker, you would start actually asking yourself, oh, these are things I did not think about. These are things that I probably should think about.
Right.
So I won't be able to speak about the SBA loan, but for the loan that I was able to get through Bank of America, it was really streamlined because they just know that usually in the dental especially tends to be very successful. So they just know, okay, if you can show us what you do, if you can show us past W-2 W-2, W-9 or 1099 forms, if you have a solid business plan, you will more than likely be, and you have to have good credit as well, actually, you do. You would more likely be approved for that.
Thank you so much. So I think Sister Mimi is beginning to get a lot of questions from online. So as we begin to queue that up, I wanted to ask a question of Pastor Ola. And this question is talking about, have you had business opportunities that were birthed from adversity? And I know you did say you find a home and you fix it up. So I'm thinking of like in that situation, it's an adversity, but you're able to turn it around and make it beautiful. So if you can speak to that, if there are, scenarios, you can even talk about where there was some issue, but you didn't look at the adversity and you were able to turn that into a business or something like that. And you can also relate it to what's going on in Nigeria, because I know that probably a lot of people in diaspora might want to own businesses back home. How were you able to make those kind of key connections, being that you live here in the United States?
Okay, if I get your question very well, what you're saying is that have I been able to tap into my adversity, turn my adversity into money, or turn other opportunities into money? What is the question?
Adversity that are also opportunities.
Okay, now, like I said earlier on, I believe that opportunities, when you try to identify opportunities, you, like Alex said earlier on, you must look for those opportunities. They exist somewhere. Everywhere in the world, there are always opportunities. Jeff Bezos, what he did was that he looked at he found an opportunity and he tapped into it. And what he started with is not what he's doing right now. So there's always an opportunity for us to tap into. Now, I defined success earlier on as making an impact. So therefore, for me, once you identify a problem and you try to solve the problem, you are making an impact. And one thing that I'd like to correct is that most of the time we associate success with money. Yes, I know that eventually we want to get paid. But the truth of the matter is that money is just a bonus of success. Money, once you go in, not with money, money is going to come at the end of the day, but try to solve a problem. Now, when you talk about adversity, the truth of the matter is that any opportunity you see is likely to be someone's adversity. For instance, Mr. Pedro, talking about Y2K, I was present with Y2K. It was a great adversity all over the world, a global adversity. It was an opportunity for him that he tuned himself to take care of. So therefore, to answer your question, so that you can answer other questions, you can ask other questions, every one of us must key into any adversity that we see. For instance, when talk about success and not relating it to money, Mandela found a problem. There was a problem. He keyed into that problem. He solved the problem. He was instrumental in solving the problem. Though he did not make money, but generations after him are likely to leverage that. And we talk about Madame Teresa. Madame Teresa solved a problem. I'm talking about success now, trying to answer both questions. There was a problem, there was an adversity. They were instrumental into solving it. They did not make money out of it, but they solved the problem. They were successful because they made a level of impact. So to answer your question straight up, yes, you see a problem. I've been able to identify some problems and I've been able to key into it, and eventually it's going to turn out to be money.
So, Pastor, I have a follow-up question for you.
Okay.
We're in a great time of adversity, the pandemic. Can you give us like one or two ideas of, what we could do in this adversity, and do something that's great? That's something that is, from a business perspective, from a personal level, what would you say in these times of adversity?
Okay. Most successful businesses in the United States started off in times of adversity. For instance, Bank of America started off during the time of adversity. This is the time for you to look around and prayerfully identify what are the challenges that is going on in the world right now, and look at the various government incentives that is available that you can key into. There's one thing that you said one time in church, Sister Mimi. There's one thing that you said one time in church that it's as if I have never heard it before. And that is what Mr. Pedro keyed into. You said in one of our Bible studies that we are 20, 30 minutes away from the most powerful city in the world. That is Washington, D.C. And many of us in the diaspora, we care less about what is going out there, and it affects us. There are various, once you said that in Bible study, can you remember, Sister Mimi?
Yes, I do, sir.
You remember saying that in one of the Bible studies?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And once I heard that, I began to think of it that that is the truth. Many of us listening to me or listening to this program, we don't take advantage of the proximity to opportunity. And right now is one of the best times in which you can start something in the United States. Time of adversity. The next thing we're going to have is this thing is down, it's going to go up. So why not key into it and stay at it, like brother Alex said. Many of us don't stay at the problem. Once we face one or two challenges, we run away. You must stay at it to solve it. Mr. Pedro will not have one big office if he ran away at the first problem. I know Alex have met several challenges, but he stayed at it. So we must stay at it once we identify the problem.
Thank you very much. So we have a couple of questions. I'm just gonna try to read this out, and maybe just direct it to actually says to Mr. Bomo. So just direct it to him. So what are tips to improving blogging experience?
Oh, excuse me, question for me?
Yes, what are some tips to improving blogging experience?
What are the
Some tips to improve blog. I think it's probably a blogger is asking this question. I say, what are some tips for someone to improve their blogging experience or as a blogger to get their content out there? I get they're coming from an IT perspective. I don't know.
Oh, I'm not a blogger. So, I mean, I'm not a blogger, and then, I would generalize it. You can pick a point from it. If you want to be an expert in anything in life, if you want to be better doing whatever, you have to learn from the best. You have to figure out who do you want to become. Like you have to find someone that you're looking up to and trying to figure out what they're doing, so that you don't have to repeat everything they've done, because they've gone through it a lot. So if you want to be a blog master or become a genius in blog, who are your mentors? Who are you looking up to? Go and read their story, see where they've started. Maybe that will help you to grow. And there's one thing in life, they said when you do something 10,000 times, there's no way you won't be better at it. So if you want to be the best, you want to be the best 5% blogger in the world, the best, you want to beat the 95. Let me restate it. If you want to be the 95%, because in any business, this is how I do my stuff. I want to be within the 5% of the most successful in that niche, in that market. So I always want to be the 95%. So what would make me to be among the only little 5% in that industry is for me to learn from that group of 5%. I will monitor them. I'll watch them every single day, what they're doing. When they post, the time they post, what type of post. It's not about what I like to post, it's what they are posting and how results are coming from them. And then it's so amazing that most of us, we have an idea to become the best of something, but we don't want to practice it. We have to do it over and over. So one of the key words I'm going to share is practice, practice, practice. You're going to be the best blog master or a blogger or a writer when you practice a lot. And one thing you can do is volunteer. Take some of your time, invest into companies, tell them that, can I blog for you? Can I help you to blog? Can I write this story for you? Before you know, you start getting ideas. People tell you what you need to learn. They will give you ideas and then you learn from them. And also stay within the network of those people you want to be the best.
Okay, we have a lot of questions coming in. So we're going to restrict our answers to hopefully a minute, thereabout, because we have like a couple of probably like 20 minutes left, because we have to do a recap at the end. There's another question here. I'm just going to direct it to Dr. Tenny. He says, how do you measure contentment? I think you already spoke to it a little bit, but just in 1 minute, so we don't ignore this person's question.
Sure. Contentment for me means feeling feeling like I'm really good at what I do and I really provide something that somebody needs. When someone comes to see me, they're putting a lot of trust in my hands. So being able to produce what it is that they need, it's just a huge satisfaction to me. Contentment also means that I feel comfortable. When I say comfortable, I mean the person that comes to me, and I'm just talking about my patients at this point. They come to me, they need X, Y, and Z. I know I can get it done. Or if I can't get it done, I can refer them somewhere where they can get done. And it's knowing that I'm becoming a master of my own craft, knowing that I'm financially comfortable, knowing that my family's financially comfortable, and knowing that what I'm doing is building for my future and theirs. That to me is my definition of being content.
Okay. So we have another question. I think it's directed to you as well. He says, what has it been like to be a female trailblazer? And what role do you think gender has played so far?
Okay. I think that's a great question. Like I said, I didn't know anyone that was able to do what I have done when I did it. And after I did it, every single one of my, in the dental school we went to, there were probably about 5 Black women, and we were all African or of, I guess, Caribbean descent. After I was able to, I actually took a course. I used my own money. I went to Texas. It was a 3-day course to just get the nitty-gritty of how to start my own practice, what banks to go to, what kind of loans I was looking for. So so how did it feel when I was able to do that? It felt wonderful, because once I was able to do it and all my friends saw that I was able to do it, every single one of them has opened up their own practice. One is an oral surgeon, one is a pedodontist. Those are people who see children. It just feels great. And gender does play a role, because a lot of times when people come in, they're not expecting to see a female dentist. Or when they come in, they automatically think that you're not the dentist, that you're the hygienist, or you're the assistant, or you're a nurse, or whatever have you. And then you sort of have to walk that tightrope of being a provider, of being the doctor who would care for them, but also someone that's very competent. So it definitely plays a role, but definitely does not hold you back at all. If anything, it only makes you stronger, because from when you're very little, you've already known that sometimes you have to work twice as hard as your counterpart. So if anything, it makes you stronger. And if anything, people feel very comfortable with you, whatever position you're in.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. So this question was for Dr. Pedro, but I guess he's not online anymore.
I'm here.
It's back. It's on.
Okay, so what are, it came in from the audience, but we actually had the question already here. What are do you know of any collaboration opportunities, partnerships, to encourage, I guess, African business owners, professionals, any I guess, yeah, opportunities out there that can encourage, some of us, looking to do better?
Well, there are so many opportunities here in Washington metropolitan area. This is the seat of the federal government, the most powerful country in the world, the richest country in the world. And the US government spends trillions and trillions of dollars every year buying goods and services. The only thing the US government is not buying right now is probably our jollof rice and dodo. And I'm very sure if we package it very well, they will buy it. So in terms of collaboration, it's very, very extensive. The question needs to be specific in terms of, are you trying to get into government contracting? Are you trying to partner with a company that is doing government contracting? The question is very, very.
I think that's your line of business. Why wouldn't you give us an example? Some of us do work for the government, and it would be an interesting, I guess, area to. So
Okay.
what would you do? What would you advise us?
Well, the first thing, you have to start the business first. And once you start the business, and don't start competing at the federal government market. It's very high. Your best bet is to start local. Go to maybe DC government, Montgomery County government, PG County government, get some contracts with them. From there, you build your own profile. Because what government does is this: before they can give you work to do, work that taxpayers are paying for, they want to be certain that you can produce. They want to be certain that you are capable. They want to make sure, and the only way they can do that is to find out what you've done in the past. Who have you done this kind of work for? And what are you bringing to the table to resolve and solve our problems? It's not just going to the government and say, okay, I'm going to provide consulting services. They have a problem. And they want you to come in based on your experience, based on your knowledge, based on your capabilities, provide resolution to us. And now, if you bring in somebody to the table along with you, that person must have the same or better capabilities than you. So in terms of partnering, subcontracting, it's a little bit too much for tonight's discussion. It's something that is a conversation I would like to have in a separate forum that will allow me more time to explain. But for this forum, I'm not sure we have enough time that will allow me to talk more about partnering, subcontracting, and doing government. Doing contracting with U.S. government.
I was going to actually make the question a little bit simpler, and just it's a question I had asked Dr. Tenny earlier. If you could speak to just getting loans in general, because I think a lot of people have great business ideas, but you started the conversation tonight about why is it that we're not where we're supposed to be, and I think a very important element is fear, or just not knowing about these resources or how to access those resources. If you can at least just inform our audience for, based on what you know, things that they can take advantage of.
Let me share with you. We all have capabilities. We all have this drive that can allow us to start a successful business. Look, something drove us from Africa. Left to me, I would rather be in Africa, but something drove me. And what drove all of us down here is something like poverty. I'm sorry to say, it's poverty that drove us here. And now we are here, we become content with 9 to 5, making 100,000, 200,000, when we are capable. A lot of us are capable of starting something. Starting a business. He can't be rich. He cannot be a millionaire if you do 9 to 5 job. No, it's not possible. It's not. You have to start something. And what is our people are finding it difficult because of fear. And I can, if you don't mind, I can go to the Bible verses. There are 2 Bible verses that I want to reference. Exodus 4:10. Remember the story when God met with Moses and said, Moses, I want you to go to Egypt and free my people. And what did Moses said? Oh, I'm afraid. I can't talk. I don't have the capabilities. I can't do this. I can't do that. Put that aside. Then you look at Mark 2, chapter 4. Mark 2, chapter 4. That was when Jesus Christ was in the house. And there was this man that was sick. You know what they did? They went to the roof and tore the roof and lowered the man to the feet of Jesus Christ. The second one is what we need to be. We need to stop being afraid, stop being Exodus 4:10. That's what majority of us are, Exodus 4:10. We need to be Mark 2 chapter 4. Fear of unknown, fear I'm going to fail, fear that I'm not going to do well. Who told you that? And I can give you so many examples of that. I go to so many places to do conferences and talk about what I've done in the past. And a lot of people will like it. And they will come to my office. And I said, okay, I'll take my time, speak with them. Okay, this is what you need to do. Okay, I will create a plan. Okay, let's do this first. They will do it. Second phase, they will do it. The third phase, maybe it's long, maybe it's complicated. You won't see them again. Because why? They run into obstacles and they don't think they can continue. How do they think I got here? It's not by just running away from obstacles, by fighting through obstacles and finding resolution where there's none. That's what most of us need to do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Before we move into our final round of questions, there's a question that's been on my mind. I want to direct this to Pastor Ola, because I know I have cousins and actually just a lot of friends that have tried to go back home to start a business and literally were duped, and I've heard people make comments like, I'm never going to do something in Nigeria. So Pastor Ola, if you can just, why are you successful basically? What is it that you're doing that these people did not do? If you can share with us some tips, because I think Nigeria is a virgin place, I think, or Africa in general, is virgin, but we are probably missing out. So what has made you successful so far?
Okay, thank you so much. There's time for everything on the face of the earth. And I would like to use Africa, answer this question from the context of Africa. There's time for everything. And one of the things we must do, because we do have a lot to offer as people in diaspora, we have a lot to offer Africa. One, you must prayerfully look for partnerships. Don't go in there and thinking anywhere in Africa, maybe Congo, Liberia, Sierra Leone, South Africa. Don't go in there thinking that you can set up structures without local assistance. Now, and with the local assistance now means that you must prayerfully look for people to help you put those structures in place. Then you avail yourself, once that happens, you avail yourself of technology. Then you trust God to hire competent. Using that word competent is very, very easy to use. Finding it is one of the most difficult things on the face of the earth when you're in Africa. But what I think has worked for me was time. There's time for everything on the face of the earth. The idea matters a lot. Is the country, is the continent, or the locality ready for that idea? Then Brother Alex said one thing earlier on. At times I started business selling buttons when I left NYC. That's about 30 years ago. From there, I sold Adire. From Adire, I did supplies. From supplies, I did mahogany. I was selling mahogany to Chinese in Africa before I came to Africa. Now, when I got in here, I've tried a couple of things, even telecom, that brought me and Vomos together. Now, I decided to say all that because everything that you have done in the past will now come full circle for you, that will now enable you to handle. Then you face obstacles. What most people do is that once they face obstacles, they run away. Stay at it. Then people don't study. I watch documentaries every month. I watch documentaries like I watch about 15 hours of documentaries. I don't watch television again. All I watch is documentaries. How Amazon did it, how Ninja in Asia did it, how this did it, that is what you need to spend quality time doing. Once you do that, it will finally come together for you in what you are doing.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you. So we just wanted to do a quick round with everyone. Just what two words come to your mind when you're thinking about habits that a person needs to inculcate or practice for success? So we're going to go down the list. We're going to start with Mr. Alex. Two words that come to your mind when you think of habits that people need to, imbibe towards success.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Dara. And before I say my two words, first of all want to thank Dr. Eniola for what she's been doing. I think this is my first time meeting you, and I've heard about your story from what you've said at the age of 29, what you've done. I believe the real woman should bring you back and give you a whole full section. I would like to invite more ladies to this program to come and listen to your story. I think you're going to empower a lot of people. You're very young, vibrant, and you're taken to a network where a lot of them, they don't know they can actually gain to. You having your own private practice and expanding and taking over consistent, competing with the bigger ones, I believe is something that we have to celebrate. I just want to share that for you. Thank you so much for doing that. And then, so let me go back to the topic. So you said I should give you two words. So
habits, yeah, that you need to imbibe towards success.
Number one, you have to be kind. Kindness. You have to be kind. Whatever you do, kindness is everything. If you want to do a business, you have to be kind. You have to be someone that's very kind. And number two, you have to give. If you can give, you will receive.
Okay.
Be kind and be a giver.
Thank you so much. Dr. Tenny.
I would say persistence and repetition.
Wow, I like that. Mr. Pedro.
Integrity. Very, very important. You must you must be trusted, and integrity is very, very important, especially in the industry in which provide services. Integrity is number one.
I need one more word from you, sir.
Yeah, well, you have to be determined to be successful in this business. And in any business that you undertake, determination has to be the number one, because if you don't want to do it, you can't start it. Once you start, you must finish, and you must finish well. And you will always remember that passage: a good man leaves inheritance for his children's children. Very, very, for us to accomplish that, you have to be determined, because you're going to face a lot of obstacles, a lot of problems, a lot of issues that will make some people wonder, why are you doing this kind of business in the first place? So the determination and integrity, those are the major factors in being a successful business person.
Thank you so much. Pastola.
I will do for one, God-fearing, number one. Number two, you must be diligent at what you are doing. Number three, you must be willing to learn, especially learn new things. Number four, you must be fearless.
Wow. So this is definitely the end in our church. We don't go over time. So I know we probably have more to say, and probably we'll take Mr. Alex, bringing people back. I think there are three people on our panel that want to come back. Mr. Pedro said we should plan an entire session for him.
Okay.
I would love that. And then Mr. Alex said, I can talk all day on this topic. In fact, he said, I don't even have the time to go into this, right? So that we have to plan more. Yeah. We have to plan more. And then, of course, Mr. Alex said we should bring Dr. Tenny back and give her a whole session. So I mean, this thing is gonna go right for a very long time. So please be on the lookout for more invites.
Don't forget my suggestion, though.
You said?
My suggestion. when we started the program.
Right,
What
right.
was it?
That's what I'm saying.
Right, that we should change the name around.
Oh,
That's
women's
Yeah, real women, real men. Yeah.
Women, men.
Mhm.
that one, right? So in our tradition, we always close out with a word of prayer. But I just wanted to, before Pastor Ola prays for us, to thank the panel for just coming and really giving us the real deal, the real men, the real women experiences that you have gone through. And I believe that everybody that was online learned something today. I know I did, learn a lot. And
I did as well.
right,
I did
right,
as well.
right.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for coming. And if we have additional questions, the church office would funnel that to you, because we want to make sure that anybody that has questions, we're able to answer them, and we'll give you guys the opportunity to answer the questions. So do you have any last words before Pastor Ola prays?
Thank you, everybody. We learned a lot, and definitely, personally, want to follow up to everybody, to learn some more. There was a lot of good information, so we thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have 2 more minutes. Dr. Teniola, would you like to give us your office number in case we have dental needs?
Yeah,
that
sure,
we can
absolutely.
get into
Do you want me to say it here?
Yes, you can say now your office number.
It's 410
410
525 0555.
0555.
Yes.
Our media team will put it on YouTube and on Facebook for people who have dental issues. 410-525-0555. Then for Mr. Alex, Mr. Alex is the founder of Vomos Communications, the popular calling card. So you can go to vomos.net. Is it .net?
Vomos.com.
Vomos.com. It's an international calling card. That's what I use. That's what my family uses. It's very cheap. Vomos.com. And he does a lot of stuff too. A lot of stuff. So Vomos.com, then Vomos Media. And you can patronize him. And please, it's important that we patronize ourselves. If you don't patronize ourselves, then when you start your own business, you understand how it is. So what you give is what you get. So please, let's kind of do that. Vomos.com. Then Pedro, I don't know how to patronize him because I'm just continuing to pray for him. He's a government contractor, so just going to pray for him. Then if you, Mr. Pedro, what's your website in case he's a headhunter? He headhunts for people, for government too. And what's your website, sir?
It's www.tai-pedro.com.
Okay. So www.tai-pedro.com. From there, you can go in there if you're looking for a job or whatever you're looking for. You can put in your name there, and they can help you headhunt or the headhunting company and other services. So thank you so much for coming to our probably taking advantage of this program, everyone that has watched with us today. And I'd like to thank the panelists for honoring us. And I'd like to thank Sister Adora and Sister Mimi for a great job. Can we pray? Father, Lord in heaven, we thank you so much for what we have been able to share with ourselves today. We pray, Lord Almighty, that everyone, Lord, that has participated in this, even Brother Leko and the media team, Natasha behind the screen, that Lord Almighty, let your hand of grace rest upon us in Jesus' name. And everyone that have learned 1 or 2 things, I ask, Lord Almighty, the grace to start and to start strong. And Lord Almighty, to be fearless, to be willing to learn, to be diligent, to be honest. And Lord Almighty, not to take no for an answer. Lord, release upon every one of us in the mighty name of Jesus.
Amen.
Lord, we thank you. Ancient of days, we glorify you. In Jesus Christ's name, we have prayed.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.